The Celtics blew a massive opportunity to go to the finals and potentially get banner 18. A couple things before I start really digging into them. Consider the comments section your vent section. Whatever's on your mind, whatever you want to say, just throw it down there. This postseason run took at least 30 years off my life expectancy, and it was all for nothing. I'm 22. My blood pressure shouldn't be 600 over 520. I probably should have blown up at some point during this playoff run. Thankfully, I didn't. I'm still here. I'm still intact. I don't know how that's the case, but here we are. So let's start with some of the positives. The Celtics have a bright future. They have very good, young, talented players. This was year one together with Kemba, Brown, and Tatum. Tatum should get better. Brown should get better. They should be able to work better as a team. You make a couple of bench moves. Maybe you trade for a big man like Miles Turner. And then, we're really cooking here. So I don't want anything that I'm going to say in this video to make it seem like I'm out on the Celtics, because I'm not. I still truly feel like they're right there. I feel like they were right there now, and they just didn't pull through, and I'm going to get into that. I also want to congratulate the Miami Heat because they showed how massive their nutsack is. That team has balls, and you have none, which is a big reason why you lost. But congrats to them. They honestly remind me of the Celtics team from like 4 years ago, the one with Isaiah Horford and a bunch of role players. That to me is Jimmy, Bam, and a bunch of role players. That's essentially what they are. And the fact that that team made it to the finals, it's pretty impressive. You took out, the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. And not only that, but you took them out in less than 7 games in both scenarios. So good for you guys. I'm honestly rooting for them to beat LeBron because I think that would be an awesome story. Okay, now let's talk about the reason you clicked on this video. The Celtics should be ashamed of the way they played this entire series. I saw a lot of people say that they overachieved this season. And yeah, I think they surprised a lot of people, the beginning of the year till now. They were really good. It was a really great season. But that changed with this series. They might have overachieved from what their expectations were at the beginning of the year, but things changed along the way. When Milwaukee was eliminated, you were the best remaining team. Out of you, Toronto, Miami, it was you. You had the most talent. In the NBA, which is a talent-driven league, if you have the most talent, you need to win. You have 3 of the top 4 players in the series. You have Tatum, Brown, Kemba, Butler. Those are the top 4 players. Your team has 3 of them. You got to find a way to come out on top. Anything less is unacceptable. So yeah, I agree that before this series, to that point, they had overachieved. But given the context of their opponent and what stood between them and a finals appearance, it's a massive, massive disappointment. And quite frankly, it's an epic fail. It will forever hurt me to my core knowing that this Celtics team missed out on the finals, not because of a question of talent. That was there. They're right there in terms of talent level. It wasn't because of that. It was because of a lack of effort and straight up stupidity. That's the reason why they're not going to the finals. And that fucking sucks. So I'll start with last night because the fourth quarter is pretty much a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. First of all, throughout the game, there was a lack of defensive intensity. It seemed like every other possession we were either giving up a wide open 3 or a layup or dunk. And they were missing open shots throughout the entire series. That's one thing. I can live with taking good shots and them not falling. It happens. What I'm not okay with is a lack of defensive effort and constant defensive breakdowns and no adjustments being made. Part of this is on Brad. I didn't see enough adjustments. They were getting beat by a zone for the beginning part of the series. A zone in the NBA. I practiced against a zone in high school in my in-town rec league. I mean, give me a break, guys. Come on. There's that part of it. There's, very bad switching on defense. There's losing guys, letting 3-point specialists shoot wide open threes. I don't know what you expect to happen. Like, that is solely their reason for being out on the floor. A lot of that team is literally there to shoot threes. And you let them, no hand in the face, nobody around them. You just let them shoot wide open. I don't know what you expect to happen. But anyways, it was in the fourth quarter and they were still in it. And I was like, okay, 1 quarter left. Let's see what we got here. They came out really intense on defense. It was leading to easy baskets and they looked pretty good. They were up 96-91, I think it was, with around 8 minutes left, and they stopped trying. They got blown out the rest of the way. And I literally watched us shoot our season away. We would go on defense and give up a wide open shot and not try defensively. And then we would run down, we would rush down the floor and shoot a bad contested three or just throw the ball away. And it gave me flashbacks to last year against Milwaukee when Kyrie was just shooting the season away, going like 8 for 30. I was stunned. I thought we were past that. I thought we were better than that. But I watched it each possession for the final 5-6 minutes. I watched us completely give up on our season and give up on our chance to go to the finals. We are better than this Heat team, sure. Talent-wise, 100%, it's non-arguable. You can't argue for them having more talent than us. It's just not true. The finals were at stake. Like, this is why you play. You play to go to the finals, to win it all. Chance to win it all. And they just didn't want it. I can't explain why. I don't know. There was no effort, and they gave up. I wish there was some sort of explanation for it, but there's not. And it keeps me up at night knowing that they were that close, and it wasn't a matter of personnel. It was a matter of the mentality, the intangibles, just the effort and execution. They just flat out didn't want it. And that sucks. They missed out on a massive, massive opportunity. You got to think of it like this. There was no Milwaukee, no Clippers. Next year and the year after, so Miami's going to come. They're going to be Miami. They're also going to have a shit ton of cap space. They're going to sign somebody. It might be Giannis. Who knows? But they're going to be awesome. Toronto's going to be back in it. We're going to be back in it. If Philly can ever fucking figure it out, they're going to be there too. If Giannis stays, Milwaukee will be in it again. Brooklyn's going to be in it with KD and Kyrie coming back. Better days are ahead for the Eastern Conference. And the Celtics had a chance to steal one here. They had a chance to go and maybe win one before they were ready to. And they completely fucked it up. And now it's going to be tougher. And I'm not saying that they're not going to win one now. I'm just saying they missed out. And it reminds me of the Bruins from last year. They had an easier road than they normally would have. And they still couldn't push through. But at least the Bruins tried. They pushed it to a Game 7 of that finals. The reason they lost is because of a lack of execution. But they were trying. The reason the Celtics lost is because they just straight up didn't want it. And there was no effort. And that's tough. They could not win a close game to save their life. They also can't hold a big lead to save their life. Game 1, they were up 14 in the fourth quarter. You come out with a loss. Off to a terrible start. Game 2, you're up by 17, and you blow that one too. Um, you can't make this stuff up. I would be okay if the Celtics played to their strengths and still lost to the Heat. Um, but that's not possible. If they played their kind of basketball, they would have won. Um, but the lack of defense, the lack of effort, missing open shots, turning the ball over a bajillion times a game, getting out coached. These were all things that we watched. They were all things that were present throughout the series, and that's why they beat you. You can give Brad a lot of shit, and I don't think he had a very good series, but Brad can't control missed layups and missed open threes and not trying on defense or throwing the ball to the other team. You can blame him for other stuff, but you can't get on him for the Celtics being stupid. Their players being stupid. Throughout the series, I think their most consistent and their best player by a pretty considerable amount was Jaylen Brown. I love that guy. I really do. And I'm glad they gave him the contract that they did. I know a lot of people hated on it. I thought he was going to really push through the way he has, and I thought he was totally going to be worth it. And so far, so good. That guy's nails. He gets it. And he was their best player. Tatum and Kemba, at certain points during this series, they would completely turn into ghosts. I had no idea that we were playing these games in Luigi's Mansion. The stats will show otherwise, but they really, really did not play all that great. There were games where they were good, but overall, it was a letdown for Tatum, and it was a letdown for Kemba. They are better than what they showed. And, it just feels like every single year, we kind of go through the same thing. It's like, this is the year they push through or they take it to the next step. And we've been saying that for the last, 4 years. And every year something comes up, whether it's an injury or they just flat out disappoint us like they did here. And, I'm just so ready for them to have that breakthrough. But it hasn't happened yet. Hoping it will at some point because that's what this all is about. But they didn't have it here, and they had no excuse not to. So, at the beginning of the year, if you told me that the Celtics made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I would have been like, shit, it's an awesome year. And up until this series, it was. But given the context of the opponent and the fact that we have more talent than them, 3 out of the top 4 players, this was the 5 seed. They were the 5 seed for a reason. The Celtics are better than this team. They didn't show it, but they are. And that's what really pisses me off, is that they did not play their style of basketball throughout the series. But yeah, given context of the opponent and how things played out, it's a huge disappointment. I don't know how anybody can watch that series and feel satisfied with the result. Their future is bright, but they missed out on a massive, massive window. That's what hurts the most. The opportunity window was wide open. It was wide open. And they just didn't want it. I don't know why, and it sucks. I'm sorry if this video doesn't pass the vibe check, but I'm sad, I'm pissed, I'm disappointed, and it's fresh, so emotions are still high. I woke up today and I felt nauseous. I was like, the Celtics really lost to that team. It makes me sick, it really does. Those are my thoughts on the Celtics. I'm excited to see, what they do next and, where the future takes them. Their future is still so bright. They're very talented. They should figure it out. But right now, it's just a flat-out disappointment. They should have been in the finals, and there's no acceptable excuse for losing to that Miami Heat team. There's just not. So, do you agree? Do you disagree? Comment below, let me know. As always, like and subscribe, and yeah.